Yeah.
We took some time. It took us a while.
Yeah,
but
sure.
We talked Jim into giving us a little more talk here.
Yeah,
Wasn't easy.
Well, first of all, about this Camp Dignity thing, I don't understand why we have this situation. But you may recall President Bush thought we could solve this problem with 1,000 points of light. In other words, that all the people would pitch in and help these people out and all that. But you know, the reason we have a government is because we expect the government to do things for us. Not everything, but I mean, there are certain areas where there are a lot of people involved, and the government would do its part by being involved. When we had this war with Saddam, and we were protecting this little country called Kuwait, somebody told me that all you had to do in Kuwait was to be a citizen, and you automatically receive $20,000 a year. Now, it's because the country is so oil-rich, and I don't know how true that is, but if it is true...
The figure may not be right, but it is true that they did.
Yeah.
They did.
All right. Well, I mean, just think about this. Just being a citizen in a country, and you're getting somewhere around $20,000 a year. Now, America is so well respected throughout the world as being a large and rich and free country. I don't understand why we don't have something, maybe not 20,000, but I mean, a person just being a citizen should be able to have maybe 10,000 or something like that. With all the tax monies and other monies that are wasted, I'm sure that would be no problem. Well, recently we've witnessed the fact that Tim McVeigh has been put to sleep. And, of course, what he did was not right. We certainly don't appreciate the fact that hundreds of people died.
If, in fact, he did it.
All right. Well, on the other hand, you know, there are many people mourning the loss of their loved ones for what happened at Oklahoma. But it's so easy that people are forgetting people mourning their loved ones from Waco, Texas, and Ruby Ridge. And again, I don't say I agree with Tim McVeigh. However, it's not hard to understand that this man felt bad about something. And I myself, I don't think it was necessary for David Koresh and all those people to be killed. Even if they set the fire themselves, they wouldn't have done that if they weren't squeezed so hard by the government. If they had set up a situation where there were maybe 3 or 4 people there round the clock kind of watching things, this wouldn't have happened. They come in there with tanks and all this other stuff, and sometimes the government just gets too aggressive. And furthermore, Tim McVeigh was an intelligent young man, and he liked guns and things like that, and finally he went into the service. And I believe that the service had a part in influencing the cold calm with which he conducted this thing that he did. I remember when I was 17, and I wasn't getting along well with my stepmother, and my father insisted that I join the Army. Well, I figured, well, I don't have to join the Army. I could join something else, or I could go live on my own. But I thought that what I would do is I'll join the Marines, because there the people volunteer. And the Army people are drafted, so just anybody gets pulled in. But I thought I'd be with a better group of people. Well, anyway, I'm making a short story long. The point I want to make is this. When I got in the Marines, I never thought about it. I thought, you know, here we are, we're going to protect our country, and they're going to teach us different things. But the truth of it is they were teaching us how to be legalized killers, how to go around cold-bloodedly killing people. They're teaching us how to shoot guns and kill people with guns, how to put bayonets on the guns, how to use our hands to reach in and pull ribs out or jam the nose bone up into the brain and things like that. I didn't go in for that, but that's what they were teaching me. And that's what they were teaching a young man, Tim McVeigh. And he agreed with it because he wanted to protect his country. But on the other hand, I feel that this had something to do with the cold-bloodedness that this thing was carried out with. I'm sure you guys have some interesting remarks to say about this.
And
that won't be radical at all. Huh?
Well, I think that any of the bomb experts who have seriously analyzed that situation have said repeatedly that there's no way an ammonium nitrate truck bomb placed that distance from the front of the building could shear steel rebar. That it just didn't have the pound force capacity in the explosion to do such. And the people who know explosives and physics and really study that kind of stuff, that if you notice in all this debate about Tim McVeigh, there are no experts analyzing the seismic waves. That's another thing. There were 2 different explosions recorded. I believe it was 10 seconds apart. And this is all in the record for anyone who wants to go look at the documents, but you don't see the talking heads on Fox News and CNN getting into the details of the bomb explosion analysis and what physical damage will do. There's been absolutely no discussion on those technical details, and it's all been emotional hype and victim suffering and McVeigh notoriety. But when you actually get down to the physics and the realities and the possibilities of and the forensics of that explosion, the debate is not there.
Yeah, well,
and there's a reason for it, because if you look at it closely, you'll find out that truck bomb more than likely did not do the damage. And it was more than likely it was C4 explosives placed under the columns inside the building itself. And although Tim McVeigh may have delivered the truck bomb, it certainly wasn't the cause for the major part of the damage, and he was not the only one in on that deal.
Well, that's like a JFK and Marilyn Monroe conspiracy theory about who did what and what happened.
Well, one thing we know is that the government bulldozed all the evidence within 2 weeks after the event.
Well, I was just going to allude to that. I recall when that building was bombed, and it didn't take long, where somebody said, you know, the front of this building was blown off, but the rest of the building is still solid. It's structurally well. And I thought, you know, this would be a good idea to clean that building up and just sort of modify the front and let it be seen that it was blown off, but use the rest of the building and it could be a monument as to what happened. But they did choose to just tear the building down.
They did the same thing to Waco. They bulldozed it.
They bulldozed it and hauled it off and buried it. And there was no public analysis of any of the
damage. To me, the biggest damage that was done, in some ways even more so than the 168 people, if you want to talk about losses, is the loss that the FBI, they have been found to have been in the past, they have manufactured evidence.
Oh, yes.
And here they turn around, they bulldoze things before people can go in there and really find out what's going on. And then we find out that all this different information was held back, and then we have all these government officials say, well, it wouldn't have made any difference. Now, how the hell did they know that particular information would have clicked in someone's mind? I mean, the whole world had all the same information that Albert Einstein had, and look what he did with it. He gave us the theory of relativity, which completely trounced the theory of gravity and all that from Isaac Newton before that. One man with the same information. Now, who's to say what would have happened if that information would have been out there? It wasn't that it wouldn't have done any good. It's the fact that it probably would have made a difference in people's minds, and that, I think, is the main thing, that they had to get him out now.
You got us on a roll here with Tim McVeigh.
Well, you know, it doesn't work too good when the police police the police. And they're pretty...
It's good for the police.
Well, yeah, well, it does. But, you know, we like to think that the police are public servants and that they're going to help us. But, I mean, you know, there are times when people call the police and they wind up getting arrested themselves. And I myself, I had to get a police report on myself. And here they had a whole long list of times that I had called the police. And it was like that was a part of my record, that I called the police. So this puts you in a bad light, and you're just trying to be a citizen.
Now, what does that tell you? What have you learned from that?
Well, Big Brother was
dial 911.
Well, you know, leave the police alone. Let them have their coffee and donuts. I think that's what it amounts to. Anyway, anybody else have anything to say about this McVeigh thing? How about you?
Not too much. We're getting ready to go to roll in.
Okay.
So.
Well, I want to point out that now, if you're watching the show on June the 14th, that I will be doing this very night a live call-in show at 10 o'clock on Channel 21. So you'll be able to call in on Channel 21. And also, I want to point out that I am doing a series of live call-in shows here at Portland Cable Access, which will start on July 7th, and it'll be from 7 till 8 o'clock live on Channel 11, although a couple times it may be live on 23. And, you know, when we do these shows,